There's a tension you can feel when you try to live right in a world that celebrates everything wrong. It's subtle at first, a quiet pull to fit in, to compromise, to stay silent when truth gets uncomfortable. But over time, if you're not anchored, you start drifting. Not all at once, just enough to feel the distance between who you are and who God's called you to be. Jesus never said the narrow path would be easy. In fact, he warned it would be hard, unpopular, costly. But he also said it leads to life, not just life after death, life now, real, rooted, unshakable life, the kind that isn't tossed by trends or fear or pressure, the kind that stays steady because it's built on something deeper than the culture around it. Righteousness isn't perfection, it's direction. It's choosing, day after day, to align your heart with God's word, not your emotions, not convenience, not public opinion. And in a world where right and wrong shift, depending on who's talking, walking with God means planting your feet where he stands, even when no one else does. This kind of life may look lonely. It may feel like you're walking upstream, but you're not walking alone. Every step taken in truth is a step taken with the one who is truth. And that's the difference. You're not trying to impress the world. You're following the voice that called you out of it. Righteousness doesn't always feel rewarding in the moment. Sometimes it feels like loss, like saying no when everyone else says yes, like walking away when everything in you wants to stay, like choosing honesty when a lie would be easier. These aren't grand gestures. They're quiet choices, costly, private, and often misunderstood. But God sees. He sees the decisions no one applauds. He sees the tears you hide when you feel like you're standing alone. And he's not asking you to be perfect. He's asking you to stay close, to keep your heart soft when the world hardens, to keep your spirit clean when the culture celebrates chaos. Because every choice you make in alignment with him, even the small ones, matters in eternity. The narrow path doesn't shrink your life, it deepens it. You start seeing things differently, feeling differently. You begin to care more about character than comfort, conviction over convenience. You're not just reacting, you're responding to God's presence within you. That's what sets you apart. Not pride, not self-righteousness, but a posture of surrender. The world may call you extreme, but God calls you faithful. And while others chase what's trending, you're choosing what's eternal. That doesn't make you better. It makes you grounded, rooted, ready to reflect the light, not blend into the dark. It takes courage to stay righteous when unrighteousness is easy, to choose integrity when compromise is more profitable, to remain pure when everything around you says, just this once won't matter. But here's the truth. Every decision shapes your direction, and every step in obedience writes a different story in your soul. You might not see the reward right away. Righteous living rarely comes with quick results, but it builds something stronger. Peace. The kind of peace that doesn't rely on circumstances, that doesn't vanish when people walk away, that remains even when everything else feels unstable, because it's built not on opinion, but on truth. This world thrives on shortcuts, on doing what feels good instead of what is good. But the narrow path is not about how fast you get there. It's about who you become along the way. God isn't just interested in your arrival. He's forming your heart. And every time you choose holiness over hype, heaven sees it. You don't need the world's approval to be valuable. You already are. And when you walk in righteousness, you're not missing out. You're rising above. You're stepping into who you were always meant to be. Not a reflection of culture, but a reflection of Christ. Sometimes walking the narrow path feels like walking in silence, like your convictions isolate you, like your choices cost more than they reward. And in those moments, the enemy whispers, "You're alone. You're missing out." You're too serious. But that's a lie, because every step you take in righteousness draws heaven closer. Every quiet no is a loud yes to God, and He sees what others ignore. You may not fit in, but that's not failure. That's faithfulness. You weren't created to blend in with brokenness. You were created to carry light, and light doesn't compete with darkness. It just shows up and changes everything around it. That's what your life can do when you choose the narrow way. God never promised this path would be easy, but He promised it would be worth it. He walks with you, strengthens you, and uses every step to shape you into someone the world desperately needs. Not louder, but purer. Not bigger, but deeper. Not faster, but firmer. If this reminded you who you really are, subscribe and turn on the bell. Not for noise, but for reminders of the truth you're walking in, one obedient step at a time. Righteous living doesn't mean you'll always feel strong. Some days it feels like dragging your soul forward. Some days it feels like choosing silence instead of snapping back, like forgiving again, turning away again, praying again, even when you're tired. And that's the part most people don't see. Righteousness is rarely glamorous. It's grit. It's in the unseen spaces, when no one's watching and you still choose what's right. When temptation knocks and you say no, not because it's easy, but because it honors God. When you want to be seen, but choose to serve quietly. These are the moments heaven applauds, even when the world doesn't notice. Every time you choose what's right over what's easy, you're building something in your soul. Integrity. And integrity can't be borrowed. It's formed, brick by brick, choice by choice. And when storms come, and they will, you'll be able to stand, not because of your image, but because of your foundation. God's path may be narrow, but it's not empty. It's filled with grace for every stumble, strength for every step, and peace that doesn't depend on how easy the road is, but on how close He walks beside you. The world will always offer a wider way, a road with fewer rules, easier choices, and quicker gratification. But wide roads lead to shallow destinations. They promise freedom, but deliver emptiness. And by the time you realize it, something sacred has been lost. Your peace, your clarity, your identity. The narrow path may be harder, but it's holy. It carves out space in you that the world can't fill. Space for character, for wisdom, for quiet strength. It forces you to slow down, to stay alert, to walk with God instead of just talking about Him. That's where real transformation happens. Not in speed, but in surrender. You won't always get it right. Righteousness is not about perfection. It's about pursuit. About getting up when you fall. About realigning when you drift. About remembering that even when the world pushes one way, you've been called to walk another. Not just differently, but deliberately. God honors the path you take when no one else walks with you. He strengthens what the world calls foolish. He multiplies the quiet faithfulness of the one who says, "I'll walk with you," even when the crowd walks away. And that's when righteousness becomes more than a lifestyle. It becomes your legacy. You may not realize it now, but every small act of obedience is rewriting your story. Every no to compromise is a yes to becoming someone stronger, someone freer, someone who doesn't just talk about faith, but walks in it, even when it costs something. That's what righteousness is. Consistency with conviction. People might not understand why you live the way you do, why you choose restraint when indulgence is easier, why you walk away from gossip, why you keep your word even when it's inconvenient. But you're not living for applause. You're living for alignment. And your reward isn't found in recognition, but in resonance. The peace of knowing your life is echoing God's heart. Walking the narrow path isn't flashy, but it's faithful. It doesn't make headlines, but it makes heaven move. And every time you choose truth over trend, love over pride, purity over popularity, you're saying, this world is not my standard, God is. You're not called to blend in, you're called to build a life, a witness, a walk that reflects something bigger, better, deeper. And the more you walk it, the more your soul finds something the world can't sell, wholeness. There's a quiet glory in choosing what's right when no one claps for you. In walking the narrow road when the world shouts, you're missing out. But what you're actually missing is the emptiness they're still trying to fill. Because righteousness doesn't steal your freedom, it saves it. It frees you from needing to please everyone, from chasing approval, from pretending. You don't need to shine to be seen by God. You don't need a stage to live a life that matters. What you need, what you already have, is the Spirit within you, whispering, keep going. And every step you take in quiet obedience is building something eternal. Not a platform, but a legacy. Not popularity, but peace. The narrow path may seem invisible to the world, but it's wide open in heaven. Every time you choose it, you step deeper into who you were created to be. Unshaken, unbothered, unmoved by trends because you're rooted in truth. And one day, you'll look back and realize every hard choice, every lonely moment, every private surrender was worth it. Because righteousness didn't just shape your life, it saved it. And now ask yourself this: if you truly believe that quiet obedience moves heaven, how would you walk differently through the noise of this world?